Namaste everyone.
Nirvikalpakamanalpamaksharam Yaksharaksharavillakshana param Nityam avyayasukam niranjanam Brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmani Brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmani. That which is free from duality, infinite and indestructible, distinct from perishable and imperishable, supreme and eternal, permanent and indivisible. That Brahman thou art. Please meditate on this in your mind. This is from Vivek Chudamani of Adi Shankaracharya.
Anyone has any questions or doubts to clear? David Garvin, you wanted to ask something, isn't it?
I'm just trying to remember what the question was, Sanjay.
That's good.
I might have to get back to you on that, Sanjay. Sorry.
That's it. This is the beauty of satsang, you know. Silence is the answer to all the things. So, in satsang, whatever we talk us to align with self. To get to the frequency of self. If we don't know the self, the reason is we are on some different wavelength. Wavelength of ego keeps us jiva, person, individual. And wavelength of self makes us one with everything. There are some attributes of ego which we should give up. Whatever we discuss in a satsang, you can call them as teaching or talks. They are not just to listen and to say, oh, I enjoyed it. we have to live that teaching. So in satsang, the first thing is to discuss about self and know that there is something like self. Second, to be convinced that this self can be attained or can be known, because so many people have known. And if these two things are there, then the third thing is how. And this how is by living the teaching. Whatever teaching you are in, you live that teaching. Only keeping Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi's photo will not get us there. But yes, teachings of the teacher, if we inculcate in our life, then we become what the teacher was or is in that form. Because our natural habit is we identify with the form. But I firmly believe that we should identify with the teaching. If the teacher does something which in your concept of life is not right, that's okay. But the teaching should be in alignment with what you believe in, because that is something which will take you onto the other side. That will help you to flip this coin. One side is ego, the other side is self. And they are both within. And it all is a matter of where we pay attention. Even if someone follows any book or a scripture, they are all spoken or written by people who have acknowledged self. So they are all talking about the same truth. Approach can be different, method can be different, but they are all talking in the purest form. If you don't like it, then you can move on. But I would also say sometimes people compare what one has said than other. You cannot. I can give you one example that Nisargadatta talks about. There is nothing like Sphurna or nothing like feeling in Hridayam. Maybe he never felt, but that doesn't make one unrealized. But I would say it is 100% true that Sphurna happens. And that even happens before your realization. It's a process in which happens. Maybe it happened to him, he didn't realize at that time. Who knows? But I'm not saying someone right or wrong, but what I'm trying to say is when you start comparing different people's talks, you get more into your mind, or their behaviors, you get more into your mind. Take up the purest of the teaching and follow in your own life wholeheartedly, and then you will realize how easy it is to give up ego. In initial days, thoughts will be there with old habits, and they can keep guiding you into your selfish mode. From this selfish mode to come to self mode, you have to pay attention to the silence and keep quiet. Let thoughts come from old habits. How long can they torture you? You just don't have to follow them. Sometimes these energy changes happens in people, but they don't understand, realize, and they move on, and then that opening comes and goes. So some experience or some understanding in the teachings is also important to understand what is happening internally in us. I saw a patient today, and she came with whole upper body with tremors. So she said she had some thing in the central part of her body, around the chest, and she felt very odd if somebody hugs her, and she felt as if there is something is trying to come out, or something is happening, but all the tests came negative. And that was in around 2015, 2016. And one day at middle of the night, something snapped, and I felt so relaxed, at ease, so peaceful. And that led to some movement of the neck, and her voice changed, trembling, and the tremor in the neck. And she started getting some reflux problems, and all the esophagus was having a reflux. And all these things happened in this part, and she said all the tests came negative again. But she didn't find any teacher, didn't have that background, and she's relaxed, but she's very upset about all this, what has happened there. Because that energy, the way it came, what it did, it has no medical explanation of any sort, So, channelizing the energy is very important, And I would say the best way to channelize energy when it comes is to be sattvic, to be pure. Purity of mind, purity of actions, intentions, and to some extent what we take from our mouth, what we eat, and how we sleep, what we do. If the mind is like a corrupted file and you get that energy, it just can create complexity in the body and you don't know what it is. That is why if you see Patanjali Yoga Sutras, they move you very, very slowly, following the yam and niyam. And I believe everyone, whatever path they choose, path of knowledge, path of devotion, yoga, we all should follow yam and niyam. Very important. Do's and don'ts. Some people with some suffering, some tragedy, they jump into knowing the truth. And they might know because they are so much into longing. But then when that comes, that energy unfolds, it can create some complexities to the body. Sometimes slowly, timely flowering of this energy is so good. Following some discipline, some principles is good. One of the persons who is very big Bhagwan devotee asked me to allow him to take long service leave and give him a sick certificate, fake certificate. And I said, how can you do this? You want to know the truth, but in life you want to do all the wrong things. He said, then I can meditate more. But how can you meditate on a fake certificate, So these are the things I'm just telling, not about saying how people behave, but for us only to understand that this is where the problem lies, We cheat system, we cheat others. That is needed to be fixed first. And understand all which we do for this body, even for enlightenment, moving people behind, is a play of ego. The one who is last in the queue of spiritual unfoldment will be the first to get it. It's not a race. We get that when we are out of every race. Doing rituals, doing fast, keeping Bhagwan's picture in your wallet, doing pilgrimage, all this can help only first you should be pure. Doing the right things in life. We need to understand all the wrong things what the ego tries to do is very much to do with the body identity, identification with our thoughts. In that complete relaxed state of self-abidance, there is no thought guiding us. There is no intention, no agenda, no plan. Yet life keeps going in its own pace. And then we realize that there is this power which drives everything. In Bhagavan's talks, Bhagavan talks about 2 or 3 times he had lied. We can say we lie dozen times in a day, and he has only 2 or 3 in his whole life. One was when he told his brother that he's going to school to study, and then he came to Arunachala. Probably that was his school to study, or make us a study in his school. He became the principal and we became the students of Arunachala school. Maybe that was also a partial lie. And the second lie I remember was he used to stay in a very, very small room. Up the hill before Virupaksha cave. And that room was very small, but because nobody should disturb him, his mother or the other attendant used to lock it from outside when they used to go to city to get something. And one day he opened, because there was a side hole around the door where he put his hand and opened, and then came out and then put it back and was sitting outside in samadhi. So when his mother came, she thought he has got some siddhi, he can just fly out of the closed door. And she said, is that the thing, you have this siddhi? And he said, Didn't say anything, but she thought, and he said, it was just a joke. I couldn't say no, I just said yes. Yeah. So in his pure consciousness, he remembers how many times he has lied. In pure awareness, all the actions are so transparent. What we say to others, why we say. Do we say to make others down or help them? What is the intention? So clean, so clear. And this is what is important. There is no magic that someone puts a hand. Putting a hand, giving an ashirvad, blessing, can definitely give you some experience, but it will be sustained only if we follow goodness in us. And that goodness is that pure awareness. And that goodness in us unfolds when all the attributes of ego are discarded, or we don't pay importance to any of those things. And we all know all of those attributes: Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Maya, Matsarya, all these things. These are the attributes of ego. Some people have less, some have more, but it is, and sometimes one is more than the other. But if we stay in that awakened awareness, then they cannot make us their slave. So Maya enters in us through mind only. There is nothing except mind which makes us ignorant. To be in this silent awareness, we only have to give up relationship with mind. Also to note that sometimes you don't follow any discipline and you enter with your longing into it. Sometimes things start getting right in their own way without even you planning to do. Getting up in the morning or leaving up eating non-veg, or giving up all sorts of companies or habits to drink or whatever it is. There's so many things starts dropping away even if you don't plan to do that. That is also true. The biggest benefit, what I believe, of knowing the self is that you are at peace. This is the thing which is most important. Whatever happens, nothing matters. First time we realize that no action in this world can bring any happiness. We are already that happiness. So actions loses their attraction. If you see people around, everyone is running to do something. To win a medal in Paris Olympics, or to be a politician, to have more money, whatever. Everyone is just running. And do you think after getting that thing, once we stop? No, we want 10 times more. And if you get it 9 times, on 10th time you can't get that thing, then you suffer. Forgetting that I got it 9 times. Only a jnani is out of this rat race. Perhaps he can also run in Olympics, but still he will be not in rat race. That's his job or profession, doesn't matter. You can still be doing the same task, but internally you are completely free from any doership. Zero identification with I am the body idea. If goodness happens through the body, it is praise to the Lord. And bad happens also, whatever the circumstances body has to go through. Most important thing to know is when you start staying as awareness, pure awareness, even fake, even when there is ego, even then, if you sincerely wants to just be an observer, even when there is ego, the ego start dissolving in your pure intention. Because the one who practices, we need to understand there is I thought, there is this I which is practicing. Otherwise, awareness is awareness. It is not practicing anything. It has nothing to practice. Seeker is only that small I which has to become a bigger I. As Bhagavan says, I goes away and the other I takes over. And in this search, the seeker disappears. Or we transform. For some, there is a date that this day I got self-realization, enlightenment. It's a knock on the head. As perhaps you can say in Bhagavan's case. Most of the time, it is a very subtle, gradual process. Knock on the head can be anything. First time when you heard about there's something like this, or you read a book or something. Slow cooking, you can call it. It comes slowly and slowly, transforms you, takes away. And I think that is the best way, because it's slow, you become into it. Suddenly you become rich, suddenly you become poor. You don't know how to manage that much of money. On Thursday, I met a monk, and he belongs to Theravada Buddhism. Beautiful energy. He said, I went on this search at the age of 9, and he's from Sydney. And he said, the first thing I started with Advaita Vedanta only. And then gradually I went into, Theravada Buddhism, and was living in a forest in Thailand. And now he's back to do some research at Monash. So came to meet me in relation to that research work. But see how many years of monkhood and absorbing that silence, and every tradition, every practice has its own beauty. And we are fortunate that there are so many options. You can pick and choose what works best for you. My only advice is pick something, start somewhere, go within. And on this journey, you meet all people with pure heart, humble, nice people, best of the best. And in satsang, we rub with that pure energy and it elevates us. It helps all of us. Allow silence to take over your mind, take over your identity. Be one with that which you cannot perceive with these eyes, which you cannot touch, which you cannot palpate as an object. Be one with that. Stop your personal story, which is going on in form of thought after thought. Don't be part of it. Then this silence takes over. Throughout day, you can feel it so strongly all the time. And at night also, that silence stays the same. You can say something adds to whatever we were before. Which makes everything calm. This silence is God. There is no God separate than this silence. And this silence is divine. It has its own fragrance. Bhagavan was not a form, he was that our inner silence. To meet him, we have to go into our heart and be with that silence, and you meet him here. In this waking dream, what we see, a teacher came by name Bhagavan in 1950. We read about it, he said about these things. And in this waking dream, we practiced, we contemplated, and we found that silence within. This is our own grace to us in our waking dream of mind. How beautiful this waking dream is, isn't it? He came for us. He came from us, Nothing outside, no external. Everything which is playing is from us, and to bring us back to our own self. This is grace of self. Don't think that this teaching or the teacher is readily available to everyone. No. There are billions of people on this earth. How many are interested? They might have heard name but not interested, Something must be in our heart which has made us into it. Some belief, some faith, some interest. Be thankful to that, because that is the start and end of the whole journey. Without interest, nothing happens. I am so grateful to all of you. I know so many of you are in this for last so many years with me. We meet virtual, we meet face to face. This pure energy of beings together helps everyone. Giving an hour 3 times a week is not an easy task. Mind can say, I would have earned so much of money, I would have done this, I would have done that, I would have washed dishes or do something else. And with all thoughts and neglecting them and leaving them and abiding in the emptiness. It is so beautiful. Stay in this pure silence all the time. No thought, no strong feelings, nothing. No stories going on. No next. What next? No question. And no expectations from this silence either. There is no list of wants and desires to be fulfilled after knowing it. Though it is capable of giving you anything, it is that infinite power. The thing is so paradox. Living in ego, there is long list of desires and wants where we are limited in our capacity to achieve. But touching the silence where it can give anything, it also takes away desires and wants. So you cannot ask anything. The one who wants has no capability, and the one who has capability is not interested in anything. But better to be the one who is capable and has no wants and desires, rather than incapable and full of long list of desires. And the reason is so easy and simple to understand. Once you know the truth, why you want illusory things? When we are in love with someone, we want that person, isn't it? But when we are in this love, every person belongs to us. Whether they know it or not doesn't matter. We know it. All are our forms. We are all one. This, our own experiential understanding, is more than enough. So attachment, possessiveness, attraction to beings is gone. Knowing truth is the best thing what can happen to any human being. It's cure for all our illnesses, bodily, mentally. It is knowledge of all knowledge. All what relative, specialized knowledge we have about things or processes is in the domain of mind only. But this knowledge is also the knower. We are not knowing anything new or apart from us. We are that knowledge. It is not a concept to be grasped by mind. You cannot objectify it. You cannot show anyone. You can only indirectly point. And if they reflect on the truth, they will also know. Who can describe it? Be in this inner silence. Give this inner silence utmost importance. And the best way to give importance is to recognize it within all the time. Keeping your attention here. There can be a thought coming that it is wasting time, you are losing money, so many unfinished tasks. Because slavery of mind is also ancient. We have done this slavery very long. It wants us to be back on task. Give up your old habit of constantly engaging in thoughts. There is no other cause of illusion except engaging in thoughts. When we have this firm resolve that I will not engage in thoughts, I will only pay attention to the inner silence, then you're out of your bondage. And freedom is in your hands. Paying attention to silence, you live only in present moment all the time. No stories from past and future. Awareness has its own vibration, its own frequency. This silence is the intelligent principle. It's pure intelligence without any conditioning. And only silence knows itself. It allows entry only when we are pure at heart. That's all is the requirement. Some people who have entered into the domain of pure energy, they have not made any concepts what is ego, what is self, nothing. It just happened spontaneously. But they lost complete interest in identity, individualized living, proving anyone about anything, or getting affected. And something internally just revolts to get out. And this transformation happens without a lineage, path, teaching, books, nothing, just. Because not for everyone there is a teaching kept. People are living in different parts of the world. Some might not be coming from any spiritual background, but still it can happen. Pay your humble respect to this pure energy, Brahman, Atman, awareness, which is not visible to these eyes, but it is the source, support of everything, seen or unseen. We all are part of it. And our humble prayer is to be one with that and recognize that we are that. We are on the mercy of this pure awareness. So it allows us to be one with it. And to dissolve our separate existence forever. And we abide in this one pure self eternally. Free from ignorance, staying in its pure light. Knowing the truth. As us. This is our humble prayer to the divine awareness. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.